Yo, what's up, everybody? Yeah. The boxing source is here, man, and I wanted to just have this thing here, man. Just a quick, results of what went down over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Riyadh season fight card, February 22nd. The last crescendo, pretty much like ended here, just ended with that undisputed light heavyweight title. The rematch between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitrii Bivol. And well, you had the decision there. It was a majority decision in favor of Dmitrii Bivol, man. And I mean, that was another great fight between both of those fighters there. And, was the overall activity of Dmitrii Bivol, particularly in the second half of the fight, that had him getting the win. I picked Beterbiev for the win in this rematch. I felt like he was going to have the power and the speed. Well, not necessarily the speed, but the power and the consistency, and just keeping his offense going to wear down Bivol. But you had a couple of things there happen in this fight. Well, one, you see what was happening in between the rounds. They were just going into the corner there, Dmitrii Bivol, to try to keep him loose, making sure that he, didn't like kind of clam up or anything like that, or was, very, stiff of sorts. I don't really want to say that type of thing there at times, because you know how the pause warriors be, right? But thing about it is that that just keeping his arms massaged and keeping his legs massaged, kept them loose and things like that, so he could still move, so we could still be moving around, not just with his legs, but with his arms and things like that, so that he will be able to have the same activity, being stationary or backing up or trying to go forward. Because the thing about it was the pressure of Beterbiev was getting to Bivol there at times. But here was something here that I was pretty much like, since I was picking Beterbiev to win, I was stressing here over the course of this fight. And in this one, I'm sorry, y'all, I got to get on Mark Ramsey. I got to get on Iceman John Scully, right? And the thing about it was that in those rounds, pretty much like round 3, 4, 5, where it looked like Beterbiev was getting the pressure down to Bivol, he was becoming predictable. What do I mean by that? The 1-1-2, y'all seen it. The 1-1-2, as far as like him being the orthodox fighter there, the 1-1-2. What I mean is up, right. Right hand going upstairs. Only time that I've seen him throw right hooks to the body was either later in the fight or when he's pretty much in range and he's already throwing a left hook and then following it with a right hook. A number of times when Bivol was moving pretty much side to side, you didn't see Beterbiev throw the right hook, or at least a lead right hook. You've seen a double jab upstairs, downstairs, or you would see a feint going downstairs with the left. But all of the feints that Beterbiev was setting up with his right hand went upstairs. And when he did that, you pretty much had Bivol have that left hand pretty much up to kind of like partially block it. Now, still with Beterbiev, his short punch in there is just, active, but when he throws with emphasis, boom, just short, very short with it, very concise with it. And it went through the guard of Bivol on multiple occasions, but you didn't necessarily see Beterbiev hit him clean as often as maybe the first fight was. And like I said, the right hook to the body was available for Beterbiev, just like in the first fight. In the first fight, in those middle rounds where you seen Bivol kind of like move around the ropes and moving side to side, I'm like, Beterbiev's like this, but then throw the right hook to the body, and that type of stuff. Same thing here in this fight. And I felt like that would have been key for him to really have Bivol in trouble, because you got to be able to mix up the punches upstairs and downstairs with both hands, because you could be successful with the left. You could be successful with the left, but if you land those right hands and you have Bivol thinking about, bringing up or down that left hand, Then you could use those feints to go upstairs with the right hook. But you've seen over the course of the fight that Beterbiev was throwing a right hook in either 1-1-2 or a feint, and then throw the right, upstairs. Shout out Jesus Sam there. He feels like Beterbiev won, I guess, 8 rounds to 4. He feels like Bivol fought the same as he did in the first fight. Well, I don't know, man. I think that he responded multiple times to a number of the punches that Beterbiev was throwing, particularly in the second half of the fight. You've seen 1-2-3 or a 1-2, and then Beterbiev will throw, and then Bivol came back with a 1-2-3. And then there was like one round where he pretty much like dominated that round as far as like being far ahead in that particular round because he was scoring a number of those shots and moving very well. I think it was, hold on, I got to go back to, what I was going there. Maybe it was a 10th round or something like that. So, that was the thing about it. It was that after round 10, you had the championship rounds, and I felt like right there it was very close. You know what I mean? Between Beterbiev and Bivol. And it was just that Bivol just did enough, particularly in those last couple of rounds, to get the judges' scorecards there for the mother two. You had, like I said, a 114 card by one judge, and another judge scored it, like 8 rounds to 4, and one judge scored it 7 rounds to 5. They the 8 rounds to 4 is probably, where they just felt like, the activity there. Yeah. It sells it to judges and viewers. Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. Sometimes, if you saw it there, like in the replay, right? You saw the flurries there from Beterbiev, for Bivol, but at times you did see Beterbiev block a number of them, but a number of the shots that Beterbiev threw, whether he landed or whether they were partially blocked, you've seen that they really affected Bivol. And at times when that happens, usually judges kind of swing towards they would say like Beterbiev in that sense, because they would say that would be a form of effective aggression, right? But yeah, shout out, yeah, man. Both fights could have been a draw. Yeah, both fights could have been a draw, man. I mean, both of them very close, razor thin for in both occasions, but I feel like, the thing with Bivol was that second half of the fight, his overall activity there was, I guess, the difference for a number of the judges. I mean, I've explained it a couple times when it comes to the judges, and it makes it, very, very difficult for some to score because they're at different points of the ring. So if you have it if you have both fighters at a certain part of the ring, there's some activity or there's some movement that one judge won't be able to have the line of vision to see. So it makes it very difficult. You know what I mean? It says if it had been one more round, I think Beterbiev may have stopped him though. Hey, I was picking the stoppage for Beterbiev, but as I was mentioning earlier, when he had that, that advantage there, after round 3 and landing a number of shots in round 4, he didn't throw that right hook to the body like I was looking at, man. I was screaming. I was like, hook to the body, right hook to the body, because one, I felt like it was available for Beterbiev, and two, that is how you wear down the movement of a Bivol, is to really have some power shots to the body. You know what I mean? Throw some power shots to the body, slow down the movement, slow down the activity, because as it was mentioned before, you seen what they were doing with Dmitrii Bivol, man. I don't know, man. There might be something up there on those towels. I need to check those towels that they were using there for Dmitrii Bivol. They were rubbing them. They were probably putting like, icy hot on the towels or something, and then rubbing them. You know what I mean? And rubbing them on the legs or something. If he was like, in pain or something like that, they put on like a little bit of icy hot on him or something. You know what I mean? For him to, still have the energy to, pop and do the things that he needed to do in the second half of the fight. You know what I mean? So I just felt like, that, round by round, as far as like in between rounds, just getting Bivol, trying to get Bivol loose. That's pretty much what it was. It says Dance Rule said Beterbiev win 4 straight rounds in the middle of the fight. Yeah, but then Could be due to his age, or listen, like I said, I mean, I couldn't necessarily hear what they were saying there in the corner with Mark Ramsey. Like I said, you had like a assistant there, Iceman John Scully, but it was not much different than in the first fight where I was yelling, "Go to the body, right hook to the body. It's available for you." You know what I mean? But he just didn't do that, and he became predictable with a lot of his offense. There, want to get my guy, the box academic, checking in the building here. Just getting the first reactions to this Beterbiev Bivol rematch and things like that. You know what I mean? So, box academic, what did you think on that?
Well, I think that this was almost a rinse and repeat of the first fight, except the only difference is that Bivol did what he was supposed to do in terms of his own offense, which is not get greedy. And so he didn't get greedy, which means that he didn't get hurt, which means that he wasn't behind the eight ball for the rest of the time after getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, he essentially had the same game. Well, he made one more adjustment that was a great adjustment too, whether by strategy or whether by just dumb luck. But I'll mention that in a second. But he came out, early in the early rounds and essentially was using his feet. Using his feet, essentially making Beterbiev follow him, moving, controlling distance, and then essentially springing into action whenever Beterbiev walked toward him. He just essentially was catching Beterbiev with shots, like a matador and a bull. And so when he wasn't doing that, he was essentially countering almost every time that Beterbiev threw something with the high guard, as you said, that the body shots were there for Beterbiev, but essentially he had the high guard, and then once Beterbiev threw one or two shots, he just countered. And so he did that all the rounds where you saw him do that. It was either a very close round or you could tell pretty easily that he won the round. And then somewhere in the middle of the fight, round 4, 5, 6, and I think Bivol might have won the 7th. I got to look at that again. But 4, 5, and 6, Beterbiev, I said he won those. But essentially, either Bivol hurt his right hand and he wasn't throwing it, and or he remembered, like, last time I threw so many shots and I really couldn't pull the trigger in the championship rounds. So I'm gonna let him throw some shots and let him tire himself out. And so whether by dumb luck or by strategy, he allowed Beterbiev to get some shots off. And the only difference between fight 1 and fight 2 is that before Bivol got greedy in fight 1, Beterbiev never landed a clean shot. The one time he landed a clean shot, which is when Bivol got greedy, that's when the ship started sinking. And so in this fight, it was no different. Beterbiev never landed a clean shot. Like, not one clean shot. He never landed one clean shot.
Yeah,
It was always grazing. It always hit off the arms. It always did whatever. And then Bivol essentially was being responsible and not throwing one shot too many. He walked Beterbiev into shots. And essentially, he took them a few rounds off, let Beterbiev let off some steam, and then he had enough to essentially make sure he won one of the last 2 rounds. And from there, he just essentially, rinse and repeat, move, walk him into shots, pow, 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 not throw more than 3 shots. And then whenever Beterbiev did throw shots, put the high guard up and counter. That's a recipe to win.
Yeah, that's it. Like you said, not being too greedy, not throwing more than 3 punches at a time in different spurts. And when he may have had Beterbiev hurt, he didn't really go for it. You know what I mean? Because there was like a number of instances where he might have tried to go for it there against Beterbiev or whatever it is, and just said, what, let me just stay patient, stay poised, and go back, because he knows that Beterbiev is the more powerful, puncher there. So he didn't want to get caught again. There were a couple of instances where they did have like an exchange where they, landed some hooks at the same time. But yeah, it was just that like he like Bivol knew from the first fight not to try to get too much into a firefight, particularly early there, because in the first fight he tried to send that message early as far as like throwing in power shots, throwing in like single, left hooks, or like try to land in with the right hand. But here he was like very cautious. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say cautious, but he, fought more of like he usually fights, fighting behind the jab, being very, very consistent and effective with the jab, and then just following up with that when the time, was there for him to land those other power shots. You know what I mean? So that was the thing about it with him, man. Yeah, it said Beterbiev was dominating rounds 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, it did. I mean, I was like, we got him, you got him. But like I was saying before, Beterbiev was being very predictable with the right hand, because he would throw like a 1-1-2, and the 1-1-2 would always be upstairs, right? He wouldn't go to the body like a 1-1-2 or do a feint up and then go down with the right hook to the body there to try to stop the movement of Bivol, because that's my thing. Bivol is going to be able to just move, whether it's going to be forward, backward, side to side. So you got to have some type of consistent attack to the body to slow that down. Not just to slow the movement, but it also, is to slow down the offensive activity of Bivol. And it didn't necessarily get that there from a Beterbiev. And I was like I was saying before, like to me, I'm like, if I'm seeing it, like I had to be pretty sure that Mark Ramsey or John Scully was seeing it, but you just didn't have Beterbiev throw those right hooks to the body there, as far as like lead right hooks to the body in my sense. So ended up being, like I said, 8 rounds to 4 and 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Dmitrii Bivol, for him to win by majority decision there to give the first loss to Artur Beterbiev. And I think that there'll probably be even more demand for another fight between these two after this fight. You know what I mean? It says well, 8-4 is too wide. Yeah. I thought 8-4 was too wide myself. I thought it would be like 7-5, 6-6. Either way, 8-4 means that you felt like Bivol won a majority of rounds that maybe were toss-up rounds. So I guess that's what they kind of like.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, that's what I would say, because I had 2 rounds that I said were tied, and it kind of just depends on what you like. And if you gave them 2 rounds to Bivol, then you get an 8-4. Otherwise, it'd be 7-5.
Mm-hmm. It say like Bivol has a horrible style to box against for anyone. I don't see anyone, including Benavidez, beating him. Well, I mean, I don't know, because the thing with Bivol is that he has the movement. It's just how is he going to be with his activity there in this sense? Because as long as he's light on his feet and things like that, moving in and out, then you probably pose issues for anybody. But I mean, Dmitrii Bivol just went through like 2 punishing fights here with Beterbiev, and he's there like what I say 34. David Benavidez is there at 28. He's there at 28 at 6'2". Pretty much could say about around 6'3". He's pretty much around my height or whatnot. Punch stats, I think it was Bivol with the advantage there, but I'll see if I could find the immediate punch stats here if I can. But I think that Bivol had a good advantage as far as like landed shots there. And the thing with the, like I said, the power shots, you know what I mean? I'm gonna try to see here, man. So that's the thing about it, is that I feel like it was more about Bivol, really being more consistent over the course of the fight with his combinations, and just keeping that activity up. You know what I mean? What he said, let's see. He said, "Fight fan says I don't think he took it from the champ personally." I mean,
I got
that's the
something.
thing with the 7-5, but I just felt like for me, it was more about what Beterbiev didn't do in a sense because, like I said, I felt like Beterbiev had the opportunity to really have Bivol in trouble midway through the fight and didn't necessarily take advantage of it. What you got?
Uh, Pull up is coming out. I'm sorry. I got a brain fart. Pull up is coming one more time.
Well, you said took
Oh,
it from the champ?
the thing about it is that the whole concept of taking it from the champ. I mean, I get that, but if you score the rounds, you get what you get, and essentially the only difference again between fight one and fight two, like I disagree with you in that it is what Beterbiev did because I don't think Beterbiev, like I think his approach from fight one and fight two were very similar. It's
Mm-hmm.
more to me about what Bivol did or didn't do. He didn't get greedy, which means he didn't get Beterbiev the opportunity to do it. And so whether you win by inch or a mile, he won a lot of rounds. Some of them he won pretty clean, but other ones he just won by activity. And then Beterbiev would come on the last 30 seconds or so, but then Bivol would just be countering him. So if you win the round by inch and you win 7 of them,
Mm-hmm.
it's a close fight, but you
All right.
still win 7. So I mean, that whole mythology of taking it from the champ, you still win the rounds.
It should win the rounds, yeah. All right, so punch stats, they say that Beterbiev landed 121 out of 588 looks. Well, no, actually, it was 688. And Bivol, it was 170 landed to, 170 punches landed to 547 punches thrown. So Bivol had a much higher connect percentage there and was more successful landing the power punches over the course of the rounds. There with a total of 85 power punches landed to 78 by Beterbiev. So yeah, it was more like the activity there of Bivol that really was the major difference here in this. And he, what I say from a percentage standpoint, he had a better connect percentage than Beterbiev in actually every single round. But it's more about what landed and the key punches that landed over the course. Because even with the better connect percentage on some of these rounds, like you still had Beterbiev landing more, like in rounds 4, 5, and what else is said, like 10. And yeah, I think it was 4, 5, and 10. Yeah, but that
Who
pretty
landed
much
more in 4, 5, and 10?
Beterbiev landed more in 4, 5, and 10.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, outside of like whether strategy or just dumb luck, he did the best thing by just letting by I'm not gonna say letting when Beterbiev got off in them little 3-round stretch and just that steam went away. That's the best thing that could have happened to him because that allowed him to be able to just sort of compete in the later rounds and keep up his strategy.
Fight fan says thought it was a draw. Let's go for number 3, but that ain't happening for a while. They're both hurt match. Yeah. Hey, listen, you had that first fight in October and then turn around, be there 4 months later. Like, especially a fight of that magnitude with how close the first fight was, and that they're able to turn right back around and have this rematch, which I felt like was even more punishing for both fighters. Yeah, we might not see this one again until, well, I don't know about October, man, because they might have something for October with the the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia joint, but maybe November or something. You know what I mean? We'll see. We'll
So
see.
to fight fans comment, I mean that's reasonable. You give one round or feel differently on one of them close rounds, it's a draw. I think anybody is sort of legitimized in saying that either person could win one round either way or being even. I mean it's tough with both styles because it just really depends on what you like. But yeah, I had 2 like rounds where I was like, I'm just calling them a draw. But then I said who I favored. But you could get, if you depending on who you gave them 2 rounds to, you could get 8-4, you can get a tie, or you can get 7-5.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. It's like it was pretty much like a toss up for majority of those rounds there. So it's like you had to favor what you felt like was the more effective part here in this particular bout, and I think it was mainly the activity there, Bivol, that got him the majority of these rounds from those two judges' scorecards there for him to get a 7-5 and an 8-4 for him to get the win. And yeah, this is signs lead to a rematch between these two. It's just when are they going to have that rematch is the question. You know what I mean? Um, I'm sure. Listen, I'm gonna get in contact with Iceman, and I'm gonna tell him, bro, y'all had him, and I feel like he blew it. But I mean, this is something where I guess hey, sorry, sorry there, David Benavidez, but you're gonna have another fight. We're gonna have another fight between these two. So that means that you might have to find another opponent. Maybe one of those opponents there that was part of this card, man. I mean, you had Callum Smith. You'll get the WBO interim like heavyweight championship with that decision win over Joshua Buatsi, which for many they feel like that was the fight of the night until the main event. So I mean that was even a very good fight between those two, man. And I thought it would have been like Buatsi pulling off the decision. I thought the younger man would have been able to do it, but hey, you had Callum Smith land a number of good shots over the course of the fight, and I think had Buatsi there in trouble on a couple of occasions. So with him getting that decision, even though one of them scores looked crazy because I thought it was a very close fight, but still. Props to Callum Smith for getting that win. You know what I mean? So that's mainly the scene there in the light heavyweight division. Like with with Callum Smith getting that win. You have Beterbiev getting that win also. I mean, excuse me, Bivol getting that win also. Just having the chef Terrell joining in here to react with what's going on.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everything?
All good, man. All good. Hey, hold on, real quick. Hey, Secret Dead Smooth says he not here. Iceman shouting at Beterbiev. He said Beterbiev let him get back in the fight in the 8th that he needed to get back in the 9th. Oh man, I was like, I was the one screaming at Beterbiev at the TV, like, you gotta throw that right hook to the body. So I mean, I could really hear Iceman there, but I'm gonna see if I can catch up with them sometime after they return from Riyadh to see what he felt about what happened in the fight. Brother Terrell, what's good with you? What you think about what's happening with down?
Hey, I just want to jump in real quick just to kind of digest what we just consumed in our boxing menu. Right there was a great card, despite everything that happened. We get to see all the fights that we wanted to, but just main points for me. Me personally, I'm glad that Adames got to show who he is, even though that was a messed up judging situation. There's no way that Shiraz did enough to make that a draw. There's no
Yeah,
way
yeah,
that's just when you fight on the back foot all the time, the entire fight, and occasionally he showed brilliance by pumping that jab, boom, boom, nice and sharp and everything. But Adames kept imploring the entire fight, let's fight. But he never wanted to fight like that as far as brawl and things like that. And sometimes in most rounds, he just didn't want to engage. And when I look at that, when I take a step back and look at that, well, I'll say because with Shear's last fight, that was like a walkover. His last two fights, he just pretty much walked him over those guys like that. But when he finally fights one with resistance, the bully got bullied in a sense. That didn't happen for him. But for him to come out with a draw, he's lucky, and he got people on the side. I'll leave it at that. So I can't just throw accusations without substantial proof, right? We don't want to do that. But I think everybody saw that, and it is what it is. And now he still has his zero intact, and gets to move on to fight another day, and still counts out as an undefeated fighter.
Yeah.
But Adam S, I'm glad he got to really show who he is. People thought that was going to be barbecue chicken, and not so much. Not so much.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, yeah, I was picking Shiraz to get this win. I just didn't expect him to initially approach his opponent Adames fighting off the back foot. He's a taller fighter. He's the one that could, establish a jab, and it's, not, even, it's not like even by a small margin. You could see that he was much taller. It was almost like, he almost looked like freaking Sebastian Vendora going up against our guy, man. Our guy, man, down there, Orlando, yo. So it was like Lubin or something. You know what I mean? So I was like, man, you could have, tried to establish a jab, but be forceful with it there very early, there in the fight, But he just felt like he had to fight off of his back foot, and once he was doing that, I'm like, nah, that ain't the move there against someone that moves it, is able to move with his head and move around in the top part of his body like Carlos Adames does. So I feel like Adames banked in a majority of those middle rounds after about the first two, where you had Shiraz, landing pretty well with the jab from a defensive, part. But after those first couple of rounds, you've seen that activity drop significantly, and those jabs weren't as forceful. So they just said, like, hey, Adames, I'm going to just keep coming forward and keep working, until, I'm able to see if I could break down Shiraz. And you didn't see Shiraz be forceful with the jab or, go forward with his lead foot until the 11th round, when his corner was basically telling him, like, you need to do something here or get a knockout, and you'll be able to, to get back in this fight. And of course, they show video of the Turkey Al-Sheikh going over to the corner there, Hamza Shiraz too, man. So it's like, oh man, yeah.
I didn't catch that. And me that I'll speak on that later. But real quick, just a few days ago, I saw an old school fight video clip. Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns. Right now, I'm not comparing any of these guys to these two fighters at all. But in terms of height difference and everything, we if you think about that, Tommy Hearns destroyed Roberto Stone Hands Duran in that fight, and he just stayed on this jab, kept that distance, and fight as a taller man like he's supposed to. But we didn't see that. We didn't see anything like that with Shiraz. Only a couple jabs here and there throughout the fight. But you say that Turkey in Shiraz's corner? Really? I missed that.
Yeah, he was like, walking over close to the corner there, like how you had well, you also had whatchamacallit, Frank Warren, out there too, like saying that stuff too. So it was like, hey man, you gotta be able to do something there to get yourself back in the fight. But it was like I said, the lack of activity there from Shiraz in the first like eight or 9 rounds or so, like from I would say from like round 3 to round 9, it wasn't really looking good there for Hamza Shiraz. You know what I mean? Yeah, they did have the report there in reference to the hand injury there for Hamza Shiraz, I guess, over the course of the fight. But you said healthy Hamza would destroy Adames. Well, I mean, we got a draw out of this, and with it being a draw, they might set it up for a rematch between those two. So hey, you might see them back in the mix here for another Riyadh season event, probably by July or something. Maybe give them about 30 days, the rest, and then see if they'll be back in the ring at about late July or early August or something like that. So don't be surprised if there's going to be a rematch on that sense, right?
So did Turkey go in the corner and whisper and they pick up audio? Hey, yo, he said, yo, Shiraz, don't worry yourself, bro. It's gonna be a draw. Just don't get knocked out. That's what it seems like, right?
Oh man, it was something crazy, man. It was something crazy, but yeah, I think only got somebody saying like, hey, where's Turkey going before the last round there? Like he's going to talk with somebody or something, man. Oh, he talk about Turkey. Yeah, he was in the corner of Shiraz, man. Hold on, man. I don't know. I might be able to share it or something here later. Let me see.
That's not a good look, man. I mean, I get it if he's trying to employ the guy, but that's the promoter of the event. That's not a good look. That's not
Yeah.
considering what happened.
Let me see if I got it right here. You're like, let's see here. Yeah, there we go. He's talking about, hey, Turkey LFC reading the scorecards to Hamza Shiraz. It says, he says, Turkey tells Hamza that he is losing by 2 rounds and instructs his team to make sure the message is relayed. Well, might as well have open. If you're gonna do that, have open scoring or something. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because I said a while back, I said even though Shiraz is from Egypt or Morocco, where's he from?
Well, what is he supposed to be from? Well, he's based in the UK. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's born and raised in Northern Africa and everything. So long story short, that's their champion. And I said it before on our shows back. We have a lot of faith and pride in our champions, whether it be the Mayweathers, Shakurs, Tank, stuff like that. That's national pride. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And now they have their guy in Shiraz that's on the doorstep and almost blew it.
Yeah.
And now they want to preserve that. So I'm like, wow, just whatever, man. Whatever.
He wasn't Northern Africa. Yeah, he's based in the UK, like born in the UK, raised in the UK. Secret Dance Move says need open scoring in boxing. Well, I mean, they, Riyadh Caesar tried to implement that AI judge, the fourth judge there for the. Oh man, nah. So even with like a 4 judge, I guess they couldn't. Why didn't they have a 4 judge for that fight? I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, that kind of like that was like a semi bad look because that was something where Adames pulled off the win there, and they could have had him as just a definitive defense of that WBC middleweight championship. But now with it being a draw, that like I said, they might revisit that fight. Now, wanted to get on to the co-feature bout that they had on there, heavyweight bout. Joseph Parker versus Martin McCauley. McCauley getting off the plane, pretty much getting off the plane there and then being fresh off of that and then having his boxing trunks and everything like that. So he probably had like a duffel bag showing up to Riyadh or something like that. Man, I don't know how much he got paid for this, but man, like, hey, that was, oh goodness, that wasn't, a good look there for Martin McCauley. Of course, he is there in place of Daniel Dubois, who got sick, among multiple people in Riyadh that got sick over the course of the week. That includes Floyd Schofield Jr., but it was still another story reference to all that I'll get to later. But with Martin McCauley, I felt like, they were trying to lock down a fight between McCauley and Efe Ajagba, and it didn't necessarily, go forward until pretty much like a couple weeks ago, where he said he may be part of that May card with Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero and Devin Haney versus Jose Carlos Ramirez. But with this going on and McCauley being kind of like a fighter there with Riyadh Season, they said, we'll call him up and see if you'd be like, hey, we'll get you out here and stuff like that. So we came, over there, went over there, all 315 pounds of them to show up for this fight against Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker was there like, 265 pounds. I think that was like the heaviest that Parker has been, 267 pounds. I think that's been like the heaviest he's been in his entire career, and he was, I guess he was, he was there, I guess, to prepare for, that bout against Daniel Dubois, because Daniel Dubois does have heavy hands, but so does Martin McCauley. It's just that Martin McCauley is just 2 days off out of getting into this fight. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, man. Oh well, Secret Dance says, "Hey, telling people McCauley is just overhyped." You American night? Hey, I don't know, because you had that fight against Michael Hunter where he was kind of like injured, but he just he wouldn't go down for nothing. You know what I mean? And he says like you watched 10 of Bacoli's fights and base judgment on that. And well, I mean, he's fought not just Jared Anderson but Carlos Takam, but Tony Yoka, Sergey Kuzmin, Kevin Johnson, who's fought just about like everybody out there in the UK, Marius Watts, so he's fought a couple of notable fighters out there in the heavyweight division. It's just that, what could he do against a number of the fighters within the top 10 of the heavyweight division? And with the heavyweight division, anything can happen in the heavyweight division in a sense. You know what I mean? So that was my thing. But here in this bout, it was like Anthony Joshua was saying there before the fight, it could be similar to what happened earlier with Zhilei Zhang and Agikabio, with the activity of Parker, trying to get to the body and have a number of targets out there for him against Bacoli, but didn't really even get to that point. 2 rounds, and then when they're in the close quarters, Parker threw a right hook, while Bacoli was ducking down, and then ended up getting over the top of the head of Martin Bacoli, and he just went blue, 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 you know what I mean? And he goes down to the canvas, doesn't make the 10 count, but hey, he got paid. Parker got paid, and Parker gets the win. Keeps his WBO interim title, as this new fight had the WBO interim title on the line. And he said, like, hey, I want to fight with one of these champions. Maybe Alexander Usyk or Daniel Dubois. Now, the reports, right now I'm not seeing where Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker might revisit a potential fight between those two later in the year. So you could have Joseph Parker versus Alexander Usyk down the line, as Usyk was, there in attendance for this fight. And shout out to Parker nonetheless. He showed up, prepared as he should be as a professional fighter, and took care of business. So he has, these string of wins since his loss against Joe Joyce back in 2022, with the last 3 against Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang, and Martin Bacoli there. And so he's pretty much like what I'd say within the top 5 of the heavyweight division right now with that win. You know what I mean? He said, there's no way that Bacoli is 31 as listed on Google or 33 on BoxRec. Yeah, he's definitely not 33. No, ain't no way. Ain't no way he's 33 years old. Come on. Come on, y'all. So,
well, do me a favor, clarify when Bacoli actually got there, right? Because the reason why I said it, I was watching Twitter this week, and I was watching Bacoli's journey. Actually, I shared a couple of his videos of his journey getting into private jets, stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that was like a few days ago. So did he actually get there today, the day of the fight, or what?
No, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Because remember, the thing was, like, when they had the weigh-in, the day before or whatever it is, like he was just pretty much arriving there at Riyadh. So you had Joseph Parker there for the weigh-in, and then the whole face-off was just Joseph Parker and Frank Warren or whatnot. So yeah, it was pretty much like him, Bacoli, like landing, getting himself settled in and thing like that, man. He says Bacoli made enough dough to buy his whole village down in the Congo. You never see him again. Oh my God.
And even on top of that, fighter like Terrence Crawford, right, for example, who always say stay ready so you have to get ready, right? So obviously with a heavyweight, there's no weight limit. We know that. but in a sense, you do have to just always stay in shape. You never know what's gonna happen. Hell, even look at the lightweight fight between Shakur Stevenson and that British guy.
Yeah, Padley.
We don't know that guy, but obviously he stayed ready. He was ready for fighting and came in and did what he did. So, but Cody came into the ring. He was not warmed up. He wasn't breaking the sweat, and you can. I mean, we know he's not. He's a big guy, so it's not gonna be cut up like that. We know that.
Yeah.
But you can just tell he just had that in between weight on him like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was definitely so. But all of a sudden, he was definitely not in fighting shape, and so I don't know. But like I said, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Stay in some sort of decent shape, man. That's all.
Yeah. That's the thing about it is, you have to stay in the gym if you can, because you never know. And the thing with Bicoli was when they were, setting up these fight cards and things like that. In the midst of that, he was in the middle of a thing for like the IBF final eliminator. So, he could have had a fight with it was Lei Zhang. He could have had a fight with Agikabiel. Didn't necessarily go for those fights. So that's how you ended up with Zhang versus Kabiel. That was for the WBC interim title there in the heavyweight division. And so the IBF at the time went down the line and said, hey, okay, we'll have you against Efe Ajagba. But we just didn't have until recently them locking down a date for that fight. But in the meantime, it's like if you know that you're going to be eventually preparing for a fight against anybody, you gotta be in the gym. And well, for Bicoli, I guess he was out there chilling in the Congo, man. You know what I mean? But that's the thing about it. A Secret Dance Move says there's a big difference though between staying in shape and peaking your body for a fight or preparing your body for a fight. Padley with a fight camp could have actually survived the distance. I feel like he could have, man. He could have, because man, Shakur Stevenson.
Can I speak on Bicoli before we talk about Shakur?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I got more of a cynical view on the fight because I left the fight with a bitter taste, sort of. So I have to watch the ending again. I'm gonna say that. So I have to get clarity. So this is a non-clear view, but I got to get clarity. But what I think I saw is Joseph Parker throw a punch inadvertently, and inadvertently the punch hit Bicoli on the smack dead top of his head, which to me, as far as I know about boxing, is that not an illegal shot?
It's not an illegal shot if the fighter that gets hit moves in a sense of where the punch lands, it ends up there. Like if he's like stationary and the opponent like goes like up and even with those over, I have to find a name for it, right? Because you have those punches where you start up and then you go down, right?
And I thought you called it overhook. I thought you called it overhook.
Yeah, like an overhook. Yeah, overhook or like overcut or something like that. You know what I mean? So even then, like I said, I mean, if you're throwing in the course of your flow, and if a guy ducks down while you're throwing, then that's pretty much on the guy that's ducking down. So that can't be ruled as an illegal punch because it's pretty much the heat of the moment.
It's in the action. Okay, cool. Yes. I accept that. So the punch landed on the top of his head. So I'm almost sure what happened was his brain shook, and so he got concussed or whatever you want to call it because his brain shook because somebody literally hit you on top of the head. Again, it ain't Joseph Parker's fault, and it's just the way the punch landed. I gotta confirm this, but he got up, right? What happened with the count? Did he actually get counted out?
The official result is a TKO. So he didn't get counted out. But
yeah, and the thing about that real quick,
pretty much the corner waved it anyway.
His corner waved it?
Pretty much.
So they threw in the towel.
Yep, his trainer, yeah, like Secret Dance Crew said, yeah, the trainer waved it off.
Okay. All right. Well, I rest my case, Your Honor. Okay, let's say the trainer didn't throw the towel away. I would have felt some type of way in that. Yeah, I don't know. The trainer waved it. Let me be quiet. Let me not add something that wasn't there. So yeah.
All right, Terrell, what were you gonna say on it?
No, just like I said in the chat, there was at the time he got up and established himself back in the corner. There was 45 seconds after in that round, right? And he wasn't just like terribly shaking. Now, granted, I wasn't there standing right in front of him. I don't know if he had glazed eyes. I don't know that. But from our standpoint, he should have been allowed to continue. Because at that point, 45 seconds left, hold on. Do all those distractions that we've been seeing for years. Hold on, drag it on, and get out of the
Yeah,
round and recover. That's what I want to see, and that didn't happen.
yeah.
That's why I
I
was like,
mean,
what
yeah,
the?
yeah. After the punch, and then Bacoli got up, and they said the trainer like waved it off, and so that's why you had the referee doing that thing. And I'm like, boo, because I wanted a definitive ending right there for at least that particular fight. I know that maybe Bacoli was going into this fight ice cold, but at the end of the first round, he was landing some good punches there on Joseph Parker. So I'm like, oh man, with this, a heavyweight fight, like I said, anything could happen. So that's why I was like, man, at least try to like have it to where either Bacoli could try to get back into the fight, or we have like a definitive stoppage there for Joseph Parker. But it just ended up as it did. So, hey, Joseph Parker scores that win, TKO victory there as the WBO interim heavyweight champion, and was gonna see if they could work for a deal with him against Alexander Usyk later on this year, potentially. But we'll see how that goes in reference to that, because you still got Daniel Dubois there as the IBF heavyweight champion. Did fall sick there over in Riyadh. It was a crazy situation there, to say the least. And as of about 30 minutes ago, they're unsure about if they're going to try to reschedule a bout there between Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois. They couldn't necessarily, my source, so to speak, couldn't necessarily disclose that at this particular time. You know what I mean?
I don't think what's his name should skip the line over Dubois, because as much as Joseph Parker has done, Dubois has done more. What he has done matters more.
Yeah,
And I
I,
wouldn't even, go ahead.
I agree, and I think it should be to a situation that I don't think they want to do, because they kind of like mentioned this sometime back last year. Joseph Parker versus Ige Cabello. You got to make it happen. I know they're like, hey, we're buddies and this and that, but y'all could pass that aside, make some money, consolidate these freaking interim belts or whatever it is, and have that fight, because that would be a great fight between those two guys.
Yeah. So I'm saying I don't know. So Joseph Parker is an honorable mention in terms of him. He should definitely get a title shot. But I think what Daniel Dubois has done, he is more deserving. Joseph Parker is deserving also, but I wouldn't have been mad if this was strategy for Dubois to say, let me wait it out and fight for the undisputed. He has earned his undisputed shot. Like, they can put him up against these fighters who very well could beat him, and in these tough fights, the man deserves a title shot. He deserves a title shot versus always being up against these competitive fights. I would also say the same thing for Joseph Parker, but I feel Daniel Dubois deserves it a bit more.
Well, I think that in regards to Dubois' recent rise, what he's done with his last few fights, and it's a damn shame we get to see Parker Dubois today. Damn shame for those obvious reasons like that. Even speaking of that with Schofield, when he first dropped sick, I thought it was maybe something in his camp that he didn't want to fight Shakur or whatever. But I'm glad that it came out. He got sick, Dubois got sick, and like you mentioned in JR, the others around in the vicinity got sick as well in the hotel. But going forward, I think that we probably will see Dubois against maybe someone in the top 10, just to keep him active and get him back in the ring again. Uh, and then down the line, if we don't see him against Usyk, we eventually we will get Dubois and Parker eventually. I think so.
Well, hey, see that who says Dubois should let Parker fight Usyk and then get the Usyk fight, I guess. But a bit older. Let Usyk get it that bit older. But the thing is, Usyk's plans are like saying that he might just have one fight here in 2025, but we'll see. It depends on like when he feels like he's gonna get back in the ring. So if it's just one fight here in 2025, I don't know. They're probably gonna try to make the most of it, see if it's the most lucrative fighter or whatever's available there for Usyk. Because I mean, he already got them 2 fights against Tyson Fury that paid him, a significant amount of money, and then he already had the 2 fights with Anthony Joshua, who at the time was the most lucrative fighter out there in the heavyweight division. So, I mean, if you want to go ahead and continue your career, even though you're pretty much like the clear-cut #1 fighter in the heavyweight division, I mean that's it. He said, "Oh, it's
I was about to say, Usyk is literally, if we had a movie like scene, it would be sunset, and Usyk would be on the horizon, standing in the sunset, and we all looking up at him. That's what Usyk is at now. And the only place he got to go with more fights is down. There's nothing for him. Like, yeah, fight one more fight, make you a little bit more extra cushion money, but yeah, maybe he want to continue fighting, but what's the purpose? Like, we know who wins against Father Time. What's the purpose?
Right. And it's basically like, yeah, who else is out there for Alexander Usyk? That's why I was saying if you would have had the fight between Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois, then the winner of that would be like a solid opponent there for Alexander Usyk. But now we don't necessarily have that, and who knows how the heavyweight division is going to sort itself out after this series of events. So that was something right there. Where you had the third fight. I don't know why this was like before the co-feature bout, but Shakur Stevenson versus Josh Padley. A number of people felt like Josh Padley was just in there, like I said, 3 days out. Fresh out of working carpentry or something like that, or whatever it is. And listen, man, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I was rooting for the underdog. I was rooting for the underdog to do something. I was rooting for him to do something. But he couldn't really do much of nothing, man, because he, doesn't necessarily have the quickness or the movement, and he really didn't have much behind his punches at all. There, at the start of the fight, he did a lot better than I thought too. It's just that after about a couple of rounds, he really didn't have much behind his punches there to, really, get to Shakur Stevenson. He landed some, power shots on Shakur Stevenson, but nothing to really affect Shakur Stevenson over the course of those rounds. And with Stevenson, well, I mean, I don't know, I hadn't seen it around here, but I'm kind of confident that Shakur Stevenson hurt his hand again. I'm pretty sure that he hurt his hand again. Oh my God, who? Somebody put in a Stevenson Padley hashtag, and he put like it's like 3 people in a room sleeping while that fight was going on. I'm like, come on, man, that's crazy. Yeah, I wanted Padley to go to distance too, you know what I mean, but just couldn't quite do that. It was just the body work of Shakur Stevenson, the consistent body work from Shakur Stevenson that got him the eventual stoppage win, as the corner of Josh Padley threw in the towel. Well, I mean, it looked like the left hand, he was shaking his left hand in a few of those rounds that were happening, so he wasn't using that left hand that much there, when those closer rounds of the fight. So, I mean, yeah, you do have Shakur Stevenson, there with the TKO win. He's now 23-0. And you have folks like saying, "Hey, yeah, you should go ahead and fight Tank." Well, the thing about it is, like, you had that opportunity. You didn't want to go with the deals that were offered there, and you took the most I fight with deal with Matchroom, even though the per fight guarantee was probably the lowest that you would have gotten from other promotional organizations. But I mean that's the path that he chose. I mean, you gotta roll with it.
And
So he gets this.
yeah, just want to add on to that. Honestly, low key, I was going for Patty too. Because why not come in? Nothing better than a great upset. What's wrong
Yeah,
with that? That's
yeah,
just great in boxing, and it does happen every now and then. But kudos to him. The guy that shows a little resistance. But like I said, no power at 15-0 with 4 KOs. That means zero power. Because
yeah,
we know that most of your KOs will come early on in your career against very bad opposition. But man, I mean, Shakur did a great job. He did what he's supposed to do. He did his typical stand right there in front of the fighter and showed that poise, command, and control, and saw shots coming, and just did what he had to do from that point. I mean, for me, the best thing about that, now that Shakur Stevens is finally he's now in the Riyadh network per se.
mm,
So we know that Turkey's gonna be calling him to fight other fights, stuff like that. So
yeah.
I'm not sure if they can revisit with the Schofield guy or whatever. I'm not sure if that'll happen again because there's a lot of back and forth being going on with that. But he at least he's not in the network, so we'll see.
So the thing there with Josh Padley, he had a stoppage or TKO win over Mark Butler, who had a record of 2-3. TKO against a Clayton Bricknell who had a record of 4 wins, 8 losses, and 1 draw. A stoppage victory over Leiden Sherkop, who was at 6-0. Okay. And then a stoppage win over Connor Lee Doherty with the record of 5-2. The thing is with Josh Padley, and the reason why he was in this position is because over in Wembley Stadium last September, he defeated Mark Chamberlain by unanimous decision. The same Mark Chamberlain, and that was being brought up as a potential opponent for Shakur Stevenson while being under Matchroom Boxing. So that's the thing. It says Shakur's super skilled boxer, but he's just not that exciting to watch. Hey, look, man, I was there live in Newark, New Jersey for two of his fights. The fight against that he had against Yoshino, but also the fight against Artur Hartunyan. And yes, you saw the people that were leaving after the 9th round against Hartunyan. Now I know some would say, "Hey, it's Newark." They got a few parking lots that are like right there outside of Prudential Center, so they trying to beat the traffic. But like, you got to do something in order to get the people to be, excited to watch you, right? You're there in the lightweight division with guys like a Keyshawn Davis, like a Gavante Tank Davis that are doing what they're doing and finishing off their opponents. Even to a certain extent, IBF champion Vasily Lomachenko would finish off his opponents. You know what I mean? And you don't necessarily have, I guess, the total package or what's needed in order to stop a number of these fighters that are the upper echelon of the lightweight division. You had what we saw against Edwin De Los Santos. We don't want to see that fight ever again. Listen. I want to know if there's anybody out there that watched the Shakur Stevenson Edwin De Los Santos fight more than once. That would be something right there. But yeah, with Shakur Stevenson here, it's like, okay, you get this win over Josh Padley. They're saying that you might, fight William Zepeda, but Zepeda is like, he got that rematch. He got the rematch against Tevin Farmer coming up, right? So it's like, yo, what now? What are you gonna do, Shakur? You know what I mean? That's the thing about it. It's like, yeah, they say maybe you'll fight Tank, but not under this matchroom deal. I don't think it will be like that. It said it was a done deal. Oh yeah, the Berenchik joint. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the thing they also had that thing as far as like Shakur fighting Berenchik, but yeah, Josh Padley is a stay busy fight. And remember, this is the same Shakur Stevenson that's coming off of a hand injury too, so he had to have surgery on his hand. That's why he didn't have Shakur Stevenson. What versus like who was the guy that got beat up there? Yeah, I had to look that up too because he was going to fight a guy that was coming up from 130 pounds that lost and pretty much lost by knockout. So I don't know if they still have him in the WBC rankings or not. I have to check that here real quick because that was the thing that they were trying to set up for Shakur Stevenson. And I'm like, why would you do that if you're trying to get him some, good fights out there in the 130 pound? What is it, Joe Cordina? Yeah, I think it was Joe Cordina that they were trying to set him up with. So, like I said, I'm not sure what they're going to do here with Shakur Stevenson. This is his first fight under Matchroom Boxing. Will they see if they could eventually have him up against William Zepeda? If Zepeda wins a rematch against Tevin Farmer, maybe. But with Zepeda's a Golden Boy fighter. So who knows how they're gonna make that happen? Unless if there's a Golden Boy versus Matchroom 5v5 or something. But from what I was initially told, that was planned for the end of May. So maybe they'll push it further down. Maybe it'll be like later on and maybe in the summer or something, because the fight that Zepeda has against Tevin Farmer is scheduled for March 29th. So we'll see how that one goes there. But man, I'm gonna be rooting for Tevin Farmer. And no, yeah. Said what Shakur Stevenson is hard to market due to his style. He's just not fan friendly. Yeah, he isn't, because it's not like he's dazzling of sorts there, even when he does what he does. So it's like, you know what I mean?
He got to prevent offense.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. That is a great way to put it. A prevent offense. Exactly. All right. So what we got? We got three fights. I'm gonna touch on here real quick. All right. Virgil Ortiz versus Israel Madrimov. Virgil Ortiz with the unanimous decision win. 2 scores of 115, 113, 1 score of 117, 111. I felt like it was more of like 8 rounds to 4 or something like that. I felt like going into this bout, Virgil Ortiz Jr. was going to have the activity, much more activity than Israel Madrimov. I thought Madrimov was going to be not much different than what he was going to be doing that he did against Terrence Crawford. A lot of movement, not much on, throwing punches. You know what I mean? Ortiz was, very consistent in his attack, coming forward behind the jab, behind a forceful and sharp jab, and working on that. And, was able to land a number of power shots over the course of this fight, wore down, Madrimov in the latter part of the fight. So we could have had Madrimov in some trouble, but he forced Madrimov to kind of like fight an inside fight. You know what I mean? He never wants to see Madrimov box again. Hey, you might not see Madrimov box again. That's like 2 straight losses there for Madrimov. We don't know where he's gonna, be back on the scene. I don't know if they go, put him up there against like who would they put him up against? Maybe they should have the fight that they should have had from the get-go between Madrimov and Sergey Boychuk. Maybe they could have set that fight up again. I don't know. But yeah, Madrimov, as one person says, they call him Israel Midrimov because he feel like he's very mid. You feel me? So, I mean, props to Virgil Ortiz Jr. on that. I think he won the interim super welterweight title there for the WBC. Puts him in a position to, right below, the WBC and WBO champion there, Sebastian Fedora, who has an upcoming defense of those titles here coming up, like a month from now, basically, so he'll be, in the ring there in action, defending those titles against Shordell Brooker March 22nd. So that, could be a potential matchup down the line, or very outside. There's a outside chance Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Terrence Crawford. Only if Terrence Crawford doesn't have that fight against Canelo locked down for September. But the way that Turkey Al-Shiki is talking is like, yeah, they're looking like they're pretty close to try to make that happen. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, but props to Virgil Ortiz with his, his consistent attack there against Madrimov. Was able to properly cut off the ring against Madrimov after a couple of rounds there. You know what I mean? So props on him on that. What was your reaction to that fight?
I was watching the nation's number one basketball team, the Auburn Tigers. The best basketball team for the last like 6 weeks in basketball, college basketball. So I will say this: the times that I did like look at the fight just to when it was on a commercial, Madrimov did a few moves that I thought was slick. And the comment I made to the chat was, did Madrimov learn some moves from Terrence Crawford? Because he was doing a couple things that looked kind of like he was, trying to be slick. I can't say what happened in the rest of the fight, but I will say I was like, look at him trying to be slick, like taking some learning from that Terrence Crawford fight, and taking it's a certain style that you get when you watch like black fighters and a certain like slickness. So I will say I just noticed that from him. Other than that, I'm not. I don't know who he talking about, but yeah.
We're talking about the thing with Madrimov as far as like his movement and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I say good job by Virgil Ortiz here. As far as like him overall, in the super welterweight division, right? Like I'm trying to see where I would place him in the 154-pound rankings. I think it's a pretty stacked division to say the least. There, I mean, he's outside of the world champions. There, you got Sebastian Fundora, unified champion. We got to see what's up with of course, with Terrence Crawford because he has one belt. There you got Backroom Murtazaliev there with the IBF title that beat up Tim Tszyu. So maybe you could have him around that top 5 or whatever it is right now for Virgil Ortiz Jr. I mean, he has at least I'm looking at this rankings here from the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board, and at the time they got Virgil Ortiz Jr. ranked at number 4, and he has a win over who they got at number 6 in Sherry Boachuk, and now a win over a guy that's number 5 in Israel Madrimov. So, hey, you might have him. I'd say top 3 right now. You'd say top 3.
I would tend to agree with that. Now, although I get to catch a fight today, but the best thing I'll say about Ortiz is the fact that it looks like he's comfortable at 154. We know about his well-documented troubles with his illness when he fought at 147. The missed fights with Staniotis like that. But looks like I'm just glad to see him in back-to-back fights while getting postponed for his illness. So I'm good with that. Looks like he's definitely settled in at 154. That's what for me.
Yeah, that's the thing about it because his story from previous years was that he was having a lot of issues making 147 pounds, and so that's why we didn't necessarily get Ortiz there against Iman Stanionis. That was like postponed a whole bunch of times before it was canceled altogether. So he ended up moving up to 154. Had a few fights out there, 154. Had the bout against Sergey Boachuk last year. What was that? August 10th of last year, and then follows this up with this bout here against Israel Madrimov, and had a very solid performance against Madrimov. And I say, hey, he has a real good future here at the 154-pound division. It's just that now it's up in the air as far as like who they would position him to step in the ring against, because he's there as fighter affiliated with Golden Boy Promotions. They here working with Turkey Al-Sheikh. So are they gonna be able to like say, hey, maybe we could get a fight between Virgil Ortiz if it's not gonna be Terrence Crawford if he's moving up, maybe against a Jesus Ramos. But the thing with Ramos is he's already got like another fight coming up. Like he's having a fight almost like 1 month after his win that he had against Jason Rosario back here in February 1st. So it's like he's having a very busy 2025. But hey, a Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Jesus Ramos fight, I would like that fight. I like the styles that make that one. Yeah, secret dance move. Yeah, you did sneak EJ. You talk about EJ on there, their number one and Bud at number two. yeah. Yeah, have to accept. Yeah, Bud never fight at 154 again. Yeah, I know he was he was out there for Keyshawn Davis's fight against Dennis Berinchik, and I know he had like a couple of jackets and things like that, but yeah, he's well over 154 pounds, or well over, like I would say, a 168 to try to get down to 154. So his next fight is not going to be at 154 pounds. That's pretty much like a done deal. So you take Terrence Crawford out of the mix there at the super welterweight division, then it's like who else is out there? What else is left there within that particular division? And with a number of the fighters that I mentioned, like Murtazaliev, Fundora, Jesus Ramos, Tim Tszyu, like a number of those fighters are going to be like occupied with other fights. So maybe, I don't know, maybe a Murtazaliev, because Murtazaliev probably isn't locked down to, like, say, TGB promotion. So maybe you could have Virgil Ortiz versus Michael Murtazaliev for Murtazaliev's belt later on down the line. That could be a good matchup there to have at 154, while you have Sebastian Fundora with this upcoming bout against Cordell Booker. And you have to see what's up with the number of these other fighters out there too. So, and Yoenis Tejas is also in the top 10 at 154. He has his upcoming bout against Julian J. Rock Williams March 1st at Barclays Center too. So,
and don't forget Lubin too, who's definitely out there coming up.
Lubin, and he has his upcoming bout on Pro Box. It's going to be out there in Kissimmee. So you got to see what happens after his bout that he got coming up to see if he could get back in the mix there in the 154-pound division. So yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. What next up? What I got? I guess this is the last one here, real quick. The Joshua Buatsi versus Callum Smith bout there, where Callum Smith gets a unanimous decision win over Joshua Buatsi with the scores of 116, 112, 115, 113, and 119, 110. Like I was saying here at the start, I felt like this was, up until the main event, this was the fight of the night. These guys was going at it. This was a good scrap. I think it was, maybe it was those close rounds. The majority of the close rounds, they favored Callum Smith in it. There were a number of times where he did land the cleaner punches and had some good combination punching there over the course of the bout. It was just that you had a lot good back and forth between both of these fighters there in a couple of those rounds. But Callum Smith getting a win there. That is the WBC interim. Yeah, they had a whole bunch of interim titles on this thing, man. The WBO interim light heavyweight title there for Callum Smith. So now, given what happened on the main event, there's going to likely be a third fight between Beterbiev and Bivol. So with Callum Smith getting his WBO interim title, I guess there's going to be another one of these quote-unquote interim unification bouts that you could have with David Benavidez and Callum Smith. As you had David Benavidez with the WBC interim light heavyweight title and the WBA regular title with this win over David Morrell Jr. Now we could potentially go up against Callum Smith there at the around the top of that light heavyweight division. And hey, you can have that be another pretty good matchup there. So you got Benavidez, what they say, like I said, right below Beterbiev and Bivol. And with the win that Callum Smith had, that kind of like had him right there within the top 5 of the division, So good overall performance there from Callum Smith. I did favor Buatsi. I thought his youth would have been a factor here in this bout, but I feel like Callum Smith probably had performed like the the best he's performed in about in a while. I know that there was like a couple of fights that he had at the 175-pound division that were pretty much like washes. But then he had the fight against Beterbiev, and Beterbiev broke him down and stopped him. But outside of the Canelo fight and the Beterbiev fight, Callum Smith has been one of the kind of like the top guys around there within the super middleweight and the light heavyweight divisions here now. So be really interested to see what the next move will be here for Callum Smith with this win over Joshua Buatsi. He's the undisputed interim. That's a good one. That's a good one. The undisputed interim title. But that kind of like goes to the whole thing with these sanctioning bodies. You got an actual champion, and then you're gonna have like interim champions in all of these divisions. All it is money. They just get more money from all that. That's pretty much it. You know what I mean? So props to Callum Smith on that front. There. Like any reaction to that particular fight?
Yeah, I missed that one too, but at the same time, like you may mention too, Buatsi has definitely been on the rise. His promotion first kind of been pushing him to get up there, and I definitely expect him to get the win. But obviously, that didn't happen, so move on from him.
Yeah. Go ahead, academic.
I was watching the best basketball team in the country.
This is a boxing show.
All right, so the thing too was I actually made it to Buatsi's last fight when he fought Willie Hutchinson over at Wembley Stadium. That was like one of the, I don't know if it was like 4 fights I was able to make out there. And that one was like a fairly, a close fight, with the exception of the knockdowns that Buatsi scored against Willie Hutchinson. So that's what pretty much was like the main difference in that fight between those 2 fighters. But, I guess, maybe with Buatsi, getting these close bouts against Willie Hutchinson or having decision wins over Dan Aziz or whoever it is, that, maybe he doesn't have enough, pop, I guess, for these upper echelon light heavyweights. So I guess that was the main difference there against Callum Smith. Or he said, big fan of Willie Hutchinson. Hey, there were a number of fans out there in support of Willie Hutchinson, not just at Wembley Stadium, but when they had the weigh-in out there for that fight card in September. So yeah, but that's the thing there with Joshua Buatsi. A little bit of a setback here for him. I guess I was saying he's like he was around that top 5 in the light heavyweight division before this fight against Callum Smith, and this kind of sets him back a couple notches. So I have to see what will be next for Buatsi. But yeah, with Callum Smith, why not go ahead and have that Benavidez fight if Beterbiev and Bivol are going to face each other again, probably August or October or something. You know what I mean? No, probably October. Because both of those guys were just getting beat up, man.
Do you think we should go walk right back into a third fight between those two, or do you want to see a wait between that?
No, it's going to be a wait between the third fight. It's because 2 fights within 4 months of each other, and they went 24 rounds, and it was like a really like it was like how you saw Benavidez versus Morrell. You saw how them two was looking after those 2 rounds. The 12 rounds that they had in their fight on February 1st. Now you look at, Beterbiev and Bivol after the 2 fights they had. Like, nah, man, I'd be chilling. I'd be chilling out, making sure I'd be 100%. Not just with the 30 days that they got to sit out, but like probably about 2-3 months before they even think about it. Yeah, it'd probably be December. I don't know, man. We'll see, because Turkey Al-Sheikh might jump the gun and say, hey, I'll have this rematch set up for December as their culmination of their 4 Riyadh season at the end of 2025.
And I'm gonna say this: this is actually weird. In boxing history, when we do get to see a trilogy between fighters, right? Usually there's a couple years distance between all 3 fights. Never do really get to see where 3 fights happen within the space of a year, and that's what I'm used to. And what's funny, what's weird about it, I don't want him fight again right away. Even if it's at the end of the year, I'd rather see them both take a couple fights in between there, here and there, stuff like that. Even if their stock goes down, right? This is weird. Even like for example, Wilder Fury, they fought what twice, right? It's twice or three times.
He fought 3 times. The first one, was there at what December? Was it 2019? I think it was. No, it couldn't have been 2019. Um, they had the thing in 20. Yeah, it was 2018. Had to be 2018. And then the second fight wasn't until February of 2020. So that
Yeah.
was the thing about it because you had the first bout that was a split draw, and then they split up to have a couple fights before the next that second fight was revisited. And then the third fight was another, what is that, 18 months afterwards, you
Yeah,
know?
remember Fury beat Wilder the second fight, and Fury was trying to fight someone else
Mhm.
next after that. Then Wilder intervened via the courts
Mhm.
to get the third fight like that, which is a
Yeah,
great fight, even though he lost.
yeah. So yeah, you rarely have, three fights between fighters that be, that close there, you know what I mean? Like even some of the classic fights that had trilogies or whatnot, like a Bo versus Holyfield, or or they say Gotti versus Ward or something like that. Like they don't necessarily have that, going back to back to back. You know, or he said, what Canelo said he'd fight Bivol again if he beat Beterbiev in the rematch. He better not mess this whole thing up.
I was about to say, why not? Why, hey, Canelo said he gonna try harder and get undisputed belts. You know he gonna at least. There's a potential for him to at least have one judge like what's his name did the 117 card. It's always
Yeah.
the opportunity to have that judge.
Yep. Yep. Says that Bivol is the only boxer now to beat 2 reigning undisputed champions. Yeah. You beat undisputed super middleweight champion. You beat, the undisputed light heavyweight champion. So now I got to redo the dadgum pound for pound rankings, man, because I had Beterbiev up there, So now I got to flip. Actually, I might change it a good little bit because I might have both Beterbiev and Bivol there in the top 10 of the pound for pound rankings, especially after this performance. But like I was saying, man, great fight, great overall fight. The activity of Bivol that was the difference there. Like I said, pretty much. I mean, it's not going to be this coming week because you're going to have Tank Davis versus Lamar Rose fight week. I'll be talking about that tomorrow and then probably on Wednesday. But after that, we'll see about if I could revisit with a number of the folks there that's been in the camp with Beterbiev and see what they said about this particular performance because like I was saying before, like the right hand to the body would have been a key punch for Beterbiev in this fight, and he just didn't utilize it. At least not to the point where it could have gotten him a much more of an advantage over the course of the middle rounds. You know what I mean? It says Russell versus Ryo is the main event. Oh man, come on, man. Hey, you'll see, man. I mean, I know that Tank Davis is looking like he's at the top of his game, but so is Lamar Rose Jr. So I'll talk about it here, over the course of next week, then when that happens. But for me, at least right now, I just wanted to have that quick reaction to this fight card. It was a really good fight card. It wasn't like the best fight card ever. We gotta stop that. We gotta stop that. That wasn't it. Ooh. Ooh. Mm. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'll see if I can, watch the fight again and then see what, Mark Ramsey was saying in between rounds in that corner. But yeah, there was a number of times when I was like, yo, if you don't, use like telegraph that right hand, you would have had, something that yeah, yeah, that's the other thing I don't like about some of these corners. They'll have a main guy, and they'll have a chief second, and they'll main guy will say one thing, and chief second will say another thing, and it's like, nah, you don't need all that. Just have one guy particularly focused in that. If you're gonna have a chief second that will have input, have him say something to the main trainer and see if the main trainer will, agree with it and implement it in there in between rounds for the fight. But outside of that, having multiple voices out there is not a good look. At least I feel like it's not a good look. But that's mainly what I had here for this thing here with this reaction to the Beterbiev Bivol rematch and the other fights that are on the card. Probably get into it a little bit more tomorrow. Around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, and after that, it's pretty much going to be Tank versus Roach fight week, and we're going to have a number of other fights that are going to happen there for March 1st. You have Boxing Academic's favorite fighter, Brooklyn Barwick, that's going to be fighting on March 1st. Yeah. And also, Subio Matias is going up against Gabriel Goyaz in Puerto Rico. So, like I said, the number. What's that? Terrell ducked off here. Hold on, see if I can try. What was your question?
You said this was her fight debut?
Yeah, pro debut. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's having a pro debut. Gotta see if there's gonna be any information, if it's gonna be streaming anywhere or whatnot. Terrell, you had dropped off. I don't know if you're back on or something like that. But I don't know if you have anything here before I roll
out. No, just one last comment. It's just kind of funny. We got two boogeymen up heavyweight, Zhang and Bacoli. Both took losses in different situations, different scenarios. So that kind of goes against their boogeyman status. So it's kind of funny. That's all.
Yeah. And I was saying there, props to props to Agit Cabello for having the performance that he had. But I pretty much predicted it. I said, you know what? If this thing goes like anything more than 6 rounds, then you're gonna have Zhang in trouble. And even with that, it was like I saw there was a number of punches from Zhilei Zhang after about 3 rounds where it looked like he didn't have that much left. And then all of a sudden he lands that punch in round 5. And I'm like, oh, let's see. But that's been Zhilei Zhang over his past couple of fights, is that, he doesn't have the energy to get it past 6 rounds. But if he's able to land a good shot on you, that's it. That's the thing about it. So, but yeah, props to Agit Cabello. I was saying, outside of Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker, it's been Agit Cabello that's had, an impressive run here in the heavyweight division over the past year and a half.
I think the tape is out on Zhang. Just go to his body and make the fight get past 6 rounds and go to his body. And you could probably stop him like Cabello did.
Yeah. He just had a dedicated attack to the body. And the thing Cabello is he moves very well, with the upper body too. So, with Zhang, all he's gonna do is be a stationary, well, not just a stationary target, but he's just gonna be standing there. It's almost like a taller version of, the old George Foreman, back in the day when he had a second run there in the heavyweight division. But Zhang is just there, trying to shoot the left and pull a couple of punches there with the right jab and then try to shoot in with the left hand. So if he's able to just land with that left, yeah, you got problems. But outside of that, if you're able to move very well, you pretty much got him. You know what I mean? He did say, or they did post on Instagram, soon after the fight, he said, it wasn't my night, didn't perform like I was supposed to out there. But he said it's not over. He said he still got more here. So, I mean, like I was saying after the fight, well, after the 2 heavyweight fights, I still want to see Zhilei Zhang versus Martin Bacoli. Listen, they could be weighing anything out there. I don't care if Bacoli's 310 or Bacoli's 315 or, Zhilei Zhang is like 290 pounds. It don't matter. All I know is if they have both of these guys in the ring, somebody's gonna get knocked out. It is gonna be a eventful knockout. I'm assured of that. So we gotta make it happen.
It'll probably be an uppercut.
Hey, could be uppercut. Yeah. Hey, it said Frank Warren gets Zane more fights for sure. Hey, listen, I'll get in contact with Zane's managers and see what's up. But we gotta have that fight. Come on, man. We gotta have that fight happen. That's gotta happen. So hopefully we get that later on this year. And thing is, it says Zane would knock out Bacoli. I gotta see it. I gotta see it. You know what I mean? I gotta see it. So that being said, that's it for this thing here with the Boxing Source Reacts with the Boxing Academic and Terrell Chef. Like I said, I'm gonna be right back at it tomorrow with a little bit more on the fight card and details about what happened there during fight week. Because listen, they should be thankful that they got this event over the finish line. Because the way that they handled stuff during fight week was just absolutely insane and semi-unprofessional, just to be honest. But we'll get into that here tomorrow, and we'll revisit what happened here in the fights and look ahead to the following week or March 1st for those series of fights there. So y'all be on the lookout for all of that here on the Boxing Source, and check out the interviews that we've had on the YouTube channel here so far. I've got Gary Antoine Russell. I was out there for the workout with Lamont Roach Jr. There the other day. So got a lot of content there for y'all. So that being said, folks, that's it on my end. I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.
Later.